Hello children, this is the continuation video for Standard 9 Literature, A Horse and Two Goats. Now, what we discussed in the previous video, this is just a continuation. So, the foreigner tells Muni that he decided to travel to India on a whim with his wife Ruth after having experienced what he considers a life changing and monumental torment. Having to work without air conditioning on a hot summer day during a power failure in New York City, where he works as a coffee trader in the Empire State Building. The minor discomfort of working for 4 hours without air conditioning motivates the foreigner to look at other civilization. But he appears to engage in an at best superficial attempt to appreciate other culture without any real desire to broaden his worldview or appreciate others' perspective and ways of life. Now, here the foreigner's comfortable life of taken for granted wealth and access to modern amenities contrast sharply with the life of Muni, who lives in a hut with no money to his name and barely enough to eat every day. Muni tries to make an excuse to leave, thoroughly mystified by the foreigner's conversation, but the foreigner detains him, questioning him as to whether the statue belongs to him. The foreigner assumes that Muni is like other souvenir sellers in this country, presiding over their wares. Gesturing towards the statue, the foreigner suggests that Muni to sell it to him. Muni, finally understanding the foreigner's interest in the statue, begins to narrate legends. Now, what he understands, he thinks that the foreigner is interested, so he starts telling about the history of the statue. So he narrate legends about it which have been passed down for generation in his family. Now, listening to Muni's long speeches, the foreigner becomes increasingly restless and more assertive about buying the statue quickly, saying, "I don't want to seem to have stopped here for nothing." Now, in this passage, the foreigner assumes that Muni must be like any other Indian peddler who is desperate to sell a valuable handicraft to a rich Westerner. Now, in this way, the foreigner makes an assumption about Muni based on his appearance. Muni, a poor man from a poor country, must want to avail himself of the foreigner's American wealth. The fact that Muni is more multifaceted than the materialistic foreigner becomes apparent as he spends much of his time talking about his memories, religion, and spirituality, while the foreigner seems fixed on acquiring the statue as quickly as possible to avoid wasting time. Now, Muni begins to explain its mythological and religious significance. He tells the foreigner that it represents Kalki, the final avatar of Hindu god Vishnu, who will return at the end of the Kali Yuga or in the darkest age of humanity as a Messiah to destroy a hopelessly benighted world and reset the cycle of time at Satya Yuga, the age of truth. Now, ignorant of the meaning of Muni's speech and the religious and cultural significance of the statue, the foreigner begins outlining a plan to rearrange his other material possessions, such as piles of books and TV, and place the statue in the middle of his living room so that it can function as a conversation piece at cocktail parties. Muni obviously begins narrating the other avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu and telling of his childhood as a stage actor, performing plays based on mythological stories. Now, the foreigner, becoming even more restless, states that we have come to the point where we should ready to talk business, and flourishes 100 rupees for the statue in front of Muni. Muni has never seen so much money in his life, thinking that the foreigner is asking for change. Muni is thinking that foreigner is asking for change. He doesn't expect that 100 rupees is for him. So Muni recommends that he visits the village moneylender because he doesn't have the change. When Muni mentions the moneylender's dislike of him and his goods, whom the moneylender once accused of stealing pumpkin, the foreigner pets his goats, hoping that this will speed up the transaction. Seeing this, Muni, whether you understood or not, what happened then? Muni thinks that if he goes to the moneylender doesn't like him, so it's better to exchange the money. It is better if the foreigner takes the goat. Then Muni surmises that foreigner is offering him 100 rupees for the goats rather than the statue. Muni is ecstatic that he is finally getting rid of the goat that served only as a reminder of his impoverished state, and will be able to use the money to open a small shop along the highway. Taking the money, Muni walks off, leaving his goats to the foreigner. Now Muni returns home, informing his wife that he has managed to sell his goods. The foreigner continues to wait confusedly by the highway, assuming that Muni has gone to fetch help. Eventually, the foreigner flags down a passing truck and pays the laborers therein to pry the statue from its pedestal and place it in his car. He also pays them to siphon gas from their truck to restart his engine. Back in the village, Muni's elation does not last long. As soon as enough, he hears the bleating of goats at his door. The goats have followed their owner back home. His wife assumes that he must have robbed someone to get so much money and threatens to flee to her parents because she doesn't want to be there when the police apprehend him. So, this is the last part of the story. Now, the story culminates into a humorous situation where an American detaches the horse statue to take with him, whereas Muni thought that he had sold the goats and he leaves the goats and come back. The goats followed him back home and the trouble starts as he became thief in the eyes of his wife. So this is the story of a horse and two goats. Now let's discuss the theme of the story: materialism versus spiritualism. Now, as we see that the American has the materialistic view of the horse in his eyes, and he wants to get the horse as a decorative item for his living room. But for Muni, it is something spiritual. He believes it to be mythical horse, something of incarnation of some god. He believes it to be the savior of good people. Now the second is wealth versus poverty. This Muni and the American, they also differ in their wealth. The opening story refers that Muni had been a wealthy person, but at present he lives in poverty and he has not held even 5-10 rupees in his hand. But for the foreigner he is offering 100 rupees for just to decorate his drawing room. Then there is culture clash. While the horse statue carries great cultural and religious importance for Muni's village, to the foreigner it is just a decorative item to serve as a talking piece during the house parties. Next coming, miscommunication. There is a lack of communication because the different languages that they are speaking, the entire story is built up by their communication, which both of them could not understand, but the conversations only bring the climax where the American believed Muni to be the owner of the statue and gave him 100 rupees, whereas Muni believed that American bought his goat and paid him money. Now children, the last is the characters. In brief, character analysis you will get in your workbook also. The title, how apt the title is, you will get in the workbook, and some more notes. So in brief, just I will tell you the characters. Muni is illiterate, he barely has enough to eat, he values emotional richness and superstitious while being spiritual. Now Muni's wife, hardworking, honest, devoted to her husband. And the American represents Western culture. He is a businessman, thus very much materialistic, but he is polite and courteous. So this much is for the story. I hope you all understood. Thank you.